fade. Greetings, and welcome to Spin a Yarn Live, the Tea Time Book Club and Crafting Circle.
I'm not spinning.
It's spinning around.
Yeah, it is. It's a yarn swift. I'm rolling a skein into a ball.
Yes, so Spin a Yarn Live, where we make a valiant attempt at crafting, but instead just talk about One Piece and Mercy Thompson.
Speaking of One Piece, One Piece!
One Piece!
We get Sanji now, the cook.
Yes.
We get the chef, the cook for the Pirate King's crew. That brings total tally up to, what, 4 people? 5 people? Who are we at?
Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Nami,
Sanji, 5.
Sanji. 5, assuming that we're counting Nami.
Assuming that we're counting Nami, which...
Luffy does.
Yeah, Luffy definitely does. If you read, hopefully you read the arc, we assume that you guys read it.
Well, should we start off with our how to connect to the stream and all that?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so...
Right.
I know, we get too excited about One Piece. One Piece. So, you can go to hashtag YarnItAll on Twitter, or go to Reddit, the subreddit r/spinayarnlive, into the One Piece Episode 4 discussion thread. Let us know what crafting projects you're working on this episode. I'm still working on my Arc 2 cross-stitch.
As you can see, I'm now working on a new project. I'm rolling a new skein into a ball of yarn to start on a new crochet project, which is just going to be an infinity scarf. So I don't know if I've actually been shown working on a crocheted project yet, but you probably won't get to see me working on this one unless I finish rolling it into a ball. Because you know, I like to knit and crochet when I get home from work. BT dubs, working on changing that. Look for an Etsy site soon from SH Designs. And also, I am trying so hard. Computers and I, we have this great relationship. They will function to the limit of my understanding of them, i.e. email, writing things, and whatnot. But when I actually try to, go out into the world of the internet and, say, start up a blog, it's all so complicated. I mean, finally I just decided, I looked at a couple of different sites that I could set up, a free blogging thing and whatever. I already own my own domain name and all that. And I finally just ended up going back to WordPress because it's just easy and it's free and it's really, really simple. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to be starting a blog which will showcase what I've got on the needles or the hook or the sewing table, whatever it is I'm going to be working on. So, yay! Read my blog when I have it up and running. Maybe sometime.
Yay.
Anyway. Anywho.
So what tea are we drinking?
We are drinking a tea that we have had a couple times before. We are drinking the Whiskey Irish Cream Tea, which it is now February, and before we know it, April and May are going to roll around, so the Georgia Renaissance Festival will be opening back up again, which is great, so I can restock my supply of this particular tea, which is really good. We've been kind of rationing it, and we actually have quite a bit of it left. And Osiris is just the tiniest bit distracted. There is another cat outside. I don't know if he's outside right now, but we noticed him a few minutes ago.
And it's not Ghost, who we showed you a picture of a couple times ago.
Right, it is not Ghost. This is a different cat.
Similar coloration, but much bigger, much poofier.
Yeah, it's not like a ginger tabby, but it's more of a tan and white, but the tan definitely has, ginger, reddish elements to it. And much foofier, but not as long.
No.
Its body isn't as long. It's not as big as as Ghost. But anyway, so that's what we're talking about. Okay, so
Let's see if anybody posted on the Reddit of what they're working on. Not yet. Nothing in Twitter. Latest. Okay, so we are talking about
One Piece, which isn't really a review because we just absolutely love it. Anyway. But, so yes, we are talking about Sanji's arc, Sanji the chef, and this is the first, maybe not the first, but this is a little bit more of how serious, this anime manga can get. Let's see, I've got my little notes here.
Oh, I have notes too somewhere.
On your phone? You were taking them on your phone, I thought.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So when we first meet up with our crew in the beginning of this new arc, we see that they are working on trying to get a flag that they can. Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at. Now I'm laughing at you. No, I'm laughing at One Piece.
Yes. So they're trying to create a flag, and Luffy tries his best to create one, and he's not an artist.
He's a pirate king, not an artist.
Right, exactly. So Usopp goes to make the flag, and he makes the flag look a little bit more like him. And what is kind of great and subtle about this panel is that Luffy goes to hit him because that's not what we want. That's not our emblem. But Zoro hits him as well, which is just one of the many little things that you see with Zoro being the absolute perfect first mate. Like,
yes.
He's just absolutely wonderful. And we see more elements of that in this particular arc.
Yeah, you don't see too much of it in the previous arc with Usopp. And, of course, with Buggy's arc, Zoro is mostly second muscle. Mm-hmm. But he still does a really good job of saying, like, I'll take care of these two. You, the captain, take care of the other captain.
Right.
Like, he already kind of gets the dynamic back there. But now, in this arc, we're seeing Zoro as...
acting more as, like, a first mate of a seasoned...
being in charge of what the crew is doing, what's going on, whereas Luffy's being the captain is one choosing where the crew goes, what they as a whole do. Mm-hmm. And it's starting off kind of subtle just with that, but oh my goodness, Zoro is the best first mate.
He's so good.
Better than Riker.
Right, they just had to have some sort of Kirk-esque, person on the ship, didn't they? They had to have somebody who's getting all the alien booty. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyhoozle. So, some interesting things to note. Now, we might have mentioned this before, but in this particular translation, which is weird, I don't know why this translation is weird, like they say Zolo, so Zoro's name is spelled with an L for some reason, and weird little, lost in translation situations. So one thing I noticed, like, different from the anime, and we're going to get into some comparisons between, how the anime did it versus how the manga did it. But one little difference is that the name of the ship, they name it the Marigo in the manga, whereas in the anime, and Paul and I watch the sub anime, so we're listening to the Japanese and then reading the subtitles, and they call it the Going Merry.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a little bit more sense. So I don't know if this is a lost in translation situation where whoever was doing the translation for the manga maybe got it wrong, but who's to say? Yeah. I still don't understand. I guess because they were worried, I don't know, I guess they were worried about possible copyright issues if they actually name him Zoro, given that Zoro is actually, like, a superhero that has his own whatnot here in the States. Let's see.
One Piece looks like originally published in 1997 in Japan.
Right.
It doesn't say when this translation occurred.
Came to the States.
Okay. But yeah, this is Viz Media, who I don't think originally... I don't know the publishing there. I did have one more thing about Zoro as first mate. So he's first mate. He's very good at keeping an eye on the crew.
Yeah.
But he's still willing to say that Luffy's flag is scary. Not in scary, intimidating, but
just
scary as in how bad it is. So it's one of those, like,
right.
Only I may pick on my captain sort of thing.
Exactly, it is. Well, and Nami, because Nami picks on
everybody.
Yes. That's just the way it is.
We start seeing Usopp's cannon and sharpshooting ability.
Yes, we do. We get to see him, because even Usopp surprises himself when he goes to shoot just the random little rock formation out there. But of course that leads to an interesting plot point with Johnny and... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, but first of all, one of the other things that was interesting about that scene is Usopp does it second. He already saw Luffy shoot the cannon, so it's not like he just looked at a cannon and knew how it aimed, but because that would be pushing it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But he was able to see how Luffy aimed and how that worked and adjust. So even though his first shot was a bullseye, he still has that kind of analysis to him.
Yeah, he's like, okay, so if you shot it and it went over there, if I re-angle it like this, that should make it work. Hey, look what I did. I'm amazing. But like I said... Then we get Johnny and... Yosaku. So we get these two guys who were, trying to recover, because Yosaku or Johnny, I can't remember, who has scurvy? Yosaku has scurvy, and they were resting on the rock, and then they blewed it up, by accident. They were just doing target practice stuff. But yeah, they come on board, and then they see, Luffy goes out at first to try to beat him up. And then, we realize that, hey, Zoro recognizes the voices, and oh my gosh, these are some guys that he used to do some pirate hunting with. Yep. So we get a little bit of, Zoro's backstory, which we had before with the backstory of Quina and all that jazz. But it was kind of like, well, how'd he get into the whole, pirate hunting racket? And it was just, he needed money to pay for food and whatnot, so, might as well get bounties. But we see that, at some point he didn't do it alone. He did hang out with some other guys.
And so they're the type that use Aniki, which, for those of you who either didn't read the manga or are not familiar with Japanese, Aniki is kind of a way, mostly more like gangish or close friends, when there's a leader of the friends. And it basically means bigger brother. Yeah, it's kind of... Slightly slang, but...
it's like a casual honorific.
Yeah.
Almost.
But it does show... It is an honorific. It does show a lot of respect, even though the people who normally use it are kind of questionable respectfulness in some occasions. If you watch a lot of manga or anime, usually the people who use those phrases are the gangs or the mooks of the bad guys or whatnot. But it's not just any henchmen of bad guys will use it. Not every bad guy gets called Aniki by their underlings. It also shows that person, the leader, kind of also cares about the people under them. So
like an older brother would.
Yeah, like in Pokemon Sun and Moon, which I know nobody here cares about. The leader of the bad guy gang that you're usually fighting against, he and the kind of woman who's also takes care of him, they see all of their underlings as younger brothers, a legit family. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it represents. And of course, these guys start off calling Zoro Aniki. Yes. Or brother if you're reading in here. And it means more than just bro. It's a little bit more. And you'll see it come up a little again in next arc, where I'll talk about again. I just wanted to lay the foundation for a talk that we're going to have next time we review One Piece.
Yes, in case you're just not familiar with Japanese culture in that manner. But so, we get these guys, and, they're like, oh no, he's sick, and we don't know what to do. And Nami is like, are you kidding? He has scurvy. Here, go get some limes and give him the lime juice. And
ooh, I just made a huge mess.
The tissues are behind the computer there.
Oh. Okay.
So, Nami is like, and we get to see, just for an instant, now in the manga, or rather in the anime, it's a little bit more clear why she gets fascinated by one of the wanted posters that the guys are carrying. In the manga, we don't actually get to see who she's looking at.
Yeah. Which I think is mainly because Oda-sensei did not have his design fully fleshed out yet.
Maybe.
Whereas in the anime, they already knew what he looked like.
Yeah, so that could be. But so we get just this little hint, and she's pretty subtle about it at first. So, it's just like a little oh, she's really interested in this, but it doesn't seem terribly important. So, moving on. So, they're hungry, they need food, and the guys are like, well, we know of this restaurant in the middle of the ocean. Let's go check it out. So they do, and of course we meet Sanji, who is just this little punk ass, ladies man. He's supposed to be the same age as Zoro, so he's supposed to be 19 years old. And we're getting into summary territory. We need to kind of talk overall. So one of the main differences, one of the big differences in the anime versus the manga is the backstory of how, Captain Zeph, or Chef Zeph.
And can I just say that Chef Zeph, right here, is kind of the first proper-looking pirate that we've had in this series.
The first, not weird-looking dude?
Yeah, the one that you would actually think is a pirate from an American standpoint. Like, if you think of a pirate, because he's broad-shoulder, he has long hair, it's in this crazy braided mustache.
Yeah, so he's kind of Nordic,
And then he has the peg
mustache,
leg, which is very stereotypical.
Right.
But he just looks like proper pirate, because before this, we've had Alvida. She was was standard.
Yeah, her shtick was she was just really big.
Yeah. And then we had Buggy, which is a clown. And
but that
not
was
a pirate.
That was his shtick.
It is his shtick. Then we had Captain Kuro, who is this tall, thin businessman almost.
Yes.
Which, again, you don't normally associate with pirates. And, now Zeph is a good guy. Spoilers. But, he looks like a proper... what a pirate should look like, according to
Paul.
Real world canon. Well... not canon, but real world American designs of pirates.
So anyway, one of the big, and this is a revelation, we don't get until further along in the story when Don Krieg's pirates are attacking the restaurant. But because, Sanji refuses to move and refuses to let these pirates take over the restaurant. And then we get the backstory. We figure out how exactly this very infamous pirate, by the way, red-legged Zeph, because his kicks, he was always a chef, so he never used his hands in combat, because a chef's hands are his most, valuable commodity. He needs to be able to make food. So he just uses kicks. So he was called Red Leg Zeph because he kicked people so hard that, his shoes were stained with the blood of his victims, kind of thing. So he had a pretty hardcore reputation as one of the pirates who had actually gone to the Grand Line and experienced it and actually came back and is still alive. And not completely insane.
Right.
Scared out of his wits or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get the backstory of how, Zeph was attacking this luxury cruiser or whatever, and Sanji was a chef's assistant. He was 9 years old. He was a little kid
who was complaining that the other chefs were eating the leftovers.
Yeah, eating off the plates, which in Japanese society, the idea of eating food that somebody else has touched is pretty gross.
And even in America, I'd feel like
it's a little weird. Yeah. But so he's criticizing the other chefs, and the chefs point out, they say, when you're on the rough seas, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. And as if to punctuate this point, the ship gets attacked by an infamous pirate crew.
Yep.
And it's not in the middle of, a storm is starting to brew. And so during the storm, and Sanji's trying to like defend himself from the pirates, oh, I don't want to be killed, blah, blah, blah. And he gets washed overboard, and Zeph goes to try to rescue him.
And this is right after Sanji mentions
All Blue. All Blue, yes, that is a kind of big
which is kind of a mythological place in this universe that...
where all 4 of the oceans, East Blue, West Blue, North Blue, and South Blue, those are the names of the oceans.
Yeah. The fish from all 4 oceans swim in all blue.
Right, they swim in all blue, which for a chef, for especially, a Japanese chef, it's an island nation, a lot of seafood. Yep. That is, like, amazing. Like, think of all of the ingredients you would have all together.
All fresh.
All fresh and just there for the taking and all this and everything. And Zeph actually also believes in all blue. Yeah. Or he said he's actually been there on the Grand Line or something.
No, he says he believes in it.
He just believes
the rest of his crew don't believe in it, but Zeph is still a dreamer.
Yeah, so he's still a dreamer. He still believes in it. So Sanji's talking about it. He's like, no, I want to live so I can go see all blue. And they're like, meh, whatever, child. And he gets tossed overboard, and Zeph's like, oh no, the child who shares the dream with me, I must save him. So in the anime, when he goes to save him, there's this whole scene where he's trying to dive down deep to get Sanji, and his foot, the ships, both the pirate ship and the cruiser are, I just call it like a luxury liner, I should say liner, not cruiser, are getting tossed, and the implication is that both ships sink. And as the wreckage is flowing down on top of Zeph, as he's trying to dive deeper to grab Sanji, his leg gets caught in some rigging. And in order to get it out so he can, A, get Sanji, and B, not be dragged underneath, he cuts his leg off. From the knee down. He cuts his foot off, essentially. And then he goes and saves Sanji. Now, in the manga, that doesn't happen. We see him dive in to go get Sanji, his pirate crew is yelling at him, and then we see this big wave come and toss both ships, and then the next panel is we're on this deserted rock. It's not even an island, it's just this rock in the middle of the ocean. You can't even fish off of it because it's basically this cliff face that it's like shaped like a mushroom. So you couldn't get down to fish, not that they have a line to fish with or anything. And, Zeph says, a little food washed up with us. I'm going to sit on this side of the island. You sit on that side of the island. Divvy up the food. If you see a ship, yell for it. And there's no reason for us to talk or do anything because we're wasting energy. We have enough, enough food for 5 days. If you're smart, you can make it last. So Zeph's bag is 3 times bigger than Sanji's. Sanji, of course, points this out, complains. Zeph says, I'm older, I'm an adult, my stomach is bigger, I need more food. Yeah. Sanji's like, fine, whatever. So,
a month, about a month passes or something.
It's something in the realm of, I think they say like 50 days. Or 45 days. Like, it goes beyond 20. Yeah. And... there's fresh water in the crevices of the rock where rainwater has gathered, and we see in one instance a storm has started up and Sanji sees a boat, but because of the storm he can't light a fire and they can't hear him yelling and all that, so he gets a little disheartened. So the point is Sanji is near starvation. He's drawn as a more skeletal figure than anything else.
And the food that was to last 7 days, he's finally run out of after 50.
Yeah, he's run out of the food that he has been very carefully rationing. So he's still alive, but he is starving. So he takes his chef's knife that he still has, because, hey, knives are, useful in survival situations. And he's like, if the old man is dead, then I could eat him, And he looks over the side of the mountain and sees that the bag hasn't even been opened. This bag that was 3 times as large as Sanji's, and he hasn't even broken into it. And the guy's still there. You know, he's still sitting there looking, and the kid comes up, and Zeph's like, did you see a ship? If you haven't, you shouldn't be over here. He's also just skin and bones. Yeah. You know, clearly hasn't been eating. And Sanji's like, I'm going to take your food even if I have to kill you. He slashes the bag open, and what's in the bag? Treasure. Gold, diamonds, pearls.
Not a single lick of food.
No food. And Zeph's like, you know, all this treasure that I wanted, and doesn't mean a lick out here. And Sanji's like, how have you lived? And he gets angry, and he, like, you know, grabs him and looks forward, and his foot is gone.
Yeah. So in the manga,
he cut it off to eat.
Yeah.
And we actually see that. So the perspective of the readers, we see him say, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And we see him cut his own foot off. We don't see him actually consume it, but we see him cut it off. And so, you know, Sanji's like, oh my god. He didn't keep any food for himself and gave it all to Sanji. Whatever food there was, he gave it to Sanji. So flash forward back to where, you know, the situation where Sanji is saying he gave up everything. He can't even be a pirate anymore, he says, because what was his skill for fighting? Kicking. And now he only has one leg. How the hell is he supposed to effectively fight if he only has one leg? So, and his dream was to start, you know, he's passing out because he's hasn't eaten for 2 months, and saying, oh, you know, if I ever got off here, my dream would be to create a restaurant that floats in the ocean. And so if anyone is ever shipwrecked or is in the middle of the ocean, there's no food, we would be there. You know, and then as he's passing out, finally a ship comes, and Sanji's, you know, calls it over. And, you know, in the anime...
And spoilers, they survived.
Yeah, they did. So, in the anime, this was the first time... It wasn't the first time that I got, like, teared up, because in Zoro's arc, when we first learn about... Quina, I definitely got a little teary-eyed. I maybe didn't cry, but I got a little teary-eyed. This was the first time I cried. Like, I didn't bawl, but I was crying. You know, the tears were straight, like 2 or 3 tears streaming down. It was like,
were you doing the sexy cry?
Sexy cry, yeah. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So flash forward, that's why Sanji's working so hard, because this guy who didn't even like him, you know, threw everything away.
Yeah.
Possibly sacrificed his own life so that this kid who shared the same dream with him would have this chance to survive. So, even though they treat each other like shit. You know, oh, you're a crap geezer, and he's like, oh, crap little eggplant thing. Stop calling me eggplant. You know, all this stuff. Which, so that brings up a little bit of a funny point, where when we first meet Sanji and Patty, like the other cooks, the main cooks of the restaurant, Sanji is effectively the sous chef, right underneath Chef Zeph, and Patty is the patisserie. That's what he's named for, the pâtissier. So he makes pastries, and then carne, which there's a little like Q&A section at the end of some of the chapters in the books, and someone was asking why they had the names that they did, and Oda Sensei said, well, they're named after these things. So Patty is named after he's the patisserie chef, so he's Patty. And in Spanish, carne means meat, and carne is the meat specialist. That's what he cooks. He cooks meat. So, you know, that's kind of a nifty little tidbit. I really like the Q&A things that these have with Oda Sensei. I think those are really cool. But anyway, so Patty and Sanji are fighting because Sanji's being horrible to this Marine commander who comes in and is trying to impress his lady friend. And of course Sanji is all like, oh, but, you know, I'm so much younger and prettier, and you should pay attention. You should pay attention to me, cute lady friend. You know. And the guy complains that there's a fly in his soup, which in the manga, or rather in the anime, he sees a bug on the floor, and he puts it in his soup. He smushes it and then puts it in his soup so he can try and make Sanji look bad. But so he drops the soup on the floor, in, his overdramatic anger of, oh, this is, terrible. And of course, so he's wasted the food. And for Sanji, for somebody who knows what it is to literally be starving to death, the idea of wasting food pisses him off just a mite bit. So, having studied under Zeph, obviously Sanji is A, very good cook, and B, can kick the crap out of you. I mean, that is literally, not to give any spoilers away, but when, and you know it's coming, when all of these members of Luffy's crew get wanted posters, they all get nicknames, right? Zoro is still known as the Pirate Hunter, so he keeps that nickname, whatever. Luffy is known as the Straw Hat Pirate, because hat, but Sanji gets known as Blackleg, because he's always wearing black trousers and black shoes, but he does the same thing that Zeph does. He uses his feet to kick the crap out of people, so he gets known as Blackleg. Now, that will change to something else, not Red Leg, or Red Foot, or whatever it was. It won't change to red, but it will change to something else, but that is later on. That I will not spoil, but that's good times right there.
So yes, anyways, we let Krieg's man know or have food. Krieg goes away, or the man goes away, brings Krieg and the rest of the ship back. Krieg, of course,
he's starving. The whole crew is starving, and he gets down, he begs, he's like, please give us food and everything.
And Krieg is known as a manipulator, liar, doing whatever it takes to survive, including just breaking every single promise he's ever made. But Zeph and Sanji still feed him and his crew because of their backstory, which we now understand.
Right. They're all starving to death, and they're like, well, if they're starving, we have to feed them. They, they know what it is to have this, to be tortured like this, essentially, and they will never allow it to happen to anybody else. But now everybody's fed and watered and everything. Oh, you still want to take our ship? No. It's like, it's good that you're fed now, and now you will not suffer the atrocities of starving to death, but if we have to beat you to death, well, so
yeah.
And yeah, even Patty and Carney are like, we're not sure about this logic. It's a little like,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he's the big bad of this arc, and as Krieg is gearing up to basically take the Baratie at any means necessary. Baratie is the
name of the restaurant.
Nami up and disappears.
Nami leaves. So, Krieg comes in and he's being all, blah, 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 blah. And Zoro and Usopp are still there in the restaurant because they were all eating. And Nami goes back to the ship with Johnny and Yusaku. And, they're hanging out on the ship, and she's still looking at wanted posters and whatnot. And so, I finished. Yay.
So, one thing that happens is Zoro is very upset that he did not see Nami leaving. Like, that was one of his, I don't know if you mentioned that, but that's kind of one of his duties as the first mate, is keeping track of the crew and making sure nothing goes wrong. So he was kind of upset that she left, and he didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So that's another, key. He's still learning how to be a proper first mate, but you can see he's really not focused on it as much as being the number one swordsman, but it's still like one of his primary focuses. But then Luffy at one point says, it doesn't matter, Nami will be their navigator.
Right.
And Zoro takes a second.
And
then he goes with it.
He's like, all right, well,
he's like,
we need to go get her then.
Yeah.
So, Luffy is still hanging out at the restaurant because through a little whoopsie-daisy, they accidentally sent a cannonball into the restaurant. Now, it wasn't necessarily their fault. The Marine officer who goes in and Sanji kicks the crap out of, he noticed that they were flying a pirate flag. Now, he didn't recognize the pirate flag, but it was still a pirate flag. So as a Marine, he's just like, just shoot them down. Just fire a cannonball at them and shoot them down. And Luffy's like, oh no! So he uses his bizarre ability to inflate his own
into
body
a balloon.
into a balloon. So it cushions the bowling ball, the cannonball, so it doesn't hurt the ship. But as the pressure goes back in, he kind of loses his grip, and it shifts him. And the cannonball, instead of going back at the Marine ship, ends up going towards the restaurant and kind of lands right in Zeph's bedroom. So he's like being the chore boy and trying to pay off his debt, which is supposed to be a year working with no pay. And Luffy's like, I can't do that. So in amongst, trying to figure out, well, what is he going to do? He feels bad. It was his fault. So he wants to repay them, but he can't stay there a full year. So he goes, he's doing a bunch of random things. He's first he's like the plongeur, he's taking care of the dishes and whatnot. But he's Luffy, so he keeps breaking the dishes because he's Luffy. And then he goes to bus tables, but he gets distracted because his crew is at a table and Sanji is serving them because, for Sanji, Nami's hot. And he's just, I'll serve the lady, I won't serve the gents because he's sexist. But anyway. Anywhoozle.
So, yes.
We get to meet a new character who's very interesting, and we see him off and on later, but we get to meet Mihawk.
Mihawk Hawkeye.
Or Hawkeye Mihawk?
Yeah, Hawkeye Mihawk.
Hawkeye Mihawk. It's all very...
Well, that's a lot of hawks.
It is.
I've never said it out loud.
Yeah, I know, right? We're always just kind of looking at him like, whoa. So he has the reputation of being the fiercest, most skilled swordsman in the entire world. So, of course, as Zoro's goal is to be the best swordsman in the entire world, he wants to fight him. It's like, you must fight me because it is my ambition to be the best swordsman in the world. They have a little duel. Zoro does not win. Zoro is just not at that level. But he lets him know why, because Mihawk is confused, because Mihawk gets through his cutting whatever and stabs him in the gut. And he says, why aren't you backing up? Why aren't you retreating? And Zoro's like, I cannot take one step back. I can't. I can't. And Mihawk's like, huh. And so, pulls it out. Zoro tries for one more time because Mihawk's like, oh, it's kind of a shame to kill you, but whatever.
Well, yeah, because he's like, with your ambition or whatnot, it would be something like, it would be rude for me to kill you with this thing, because he was just using this little tiny little pocket.
His little necklace.
Knife. Yeah, necklace. Knife.
Necklace that he has.
So he brings out his actual real sword.
Yeah, the actual blade that he uses, the black blade. It's a pretty cool design, but it kind of gets into the idea of what we're going to be encountering in the Grand Line, because he followed Don Krieg's ship from the Grand Line, which is why Don Krieg and his crew are like totally just wrecked, because Mihawk was like, you're annoying. Just gonna...
So, there's Mihawk.
Mm-hmm.
And do we get a good picture of his sword? Oh, jeez. Heavily foreshortened, and up here is his sword.
He also has a fabulous hat.
He does.
Big plume in it. So we get kind of a foreshadowing of what the people in the Grand Line are like. Like, Luffy has a Devil Fruit ability, which in the Grand Line is not uncommon. So he'll kind of fit right in, as it were. But then you also have people like Mihawk, who is, for all accounts, a totally regular guy. He doesn't have any sort of Devil Fruit abilities or anything like that. He just spends every waking moment training or meditating, which he says napping. But anyway.
I mean, it's One Piece.
Yeah, it's One Piece, so what are you going to do? A week's worth of just napping and any and all injuries are healed for some of these guys, so what are you going to do? So Mihawk, recognizes the spirit within Zoro, even though he's not physically capable of being as good a swordsman as he should be. Mihawk's like, all right, well, I will do you the favor of actually using my true sword to kill you. Now, Zoro makes one last attempt to defend himself, and the 2 other blades that he has end up breaking because they're not up to the challenge. Luckily,
I know.
the sword that he got from his sensei, from Kuina's father, is made of tougher stuff. It does not break. So at this point in time, Zoro only has 1 sword, which is not great because he's always studied 3-sword techniques. So 1 sword is a little awkward for him. It's not something he's really used to using. But so he does. So Mihawk's like, oh, you have such a great spirit. It'd be don't rush into death. So he not mortally wounds him, but he wounds him.
Well, and slightly before that, when Zoro got the first injury or second injury or something, right before, when Zoro still thought he was going to die, he makes this big speech to Luffy, basically saying that he has to do this. And Luffy is very upset that his first mate and first person he picked is about to die, because it's very clear that he's kind of poking a bear, as it were. Like, Zoro is no match for Mihawk at this point, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So, like, both Luffy and Zoro are pretty much under the same assumption that Zoro's gonna die.
Yeah.
And Luffy is upset by this.
He's upset, but he would never dream of interfering.
He still accepts it.
Yeah.
Which is...
He even stops Johnny and
Yosaku
from interfering. He's like, don't interfere, it's not your fight, just let him do it, oh my god!
Which is also another thing that Mihawk sees. He sees the crew also accepting and acknowledging Zoro's ambition.
Yes. And
but yeah, it's also kind of a callback to our first episode. Went through puberty there for a second. Went through our first episode with One Piece, where Zoro says that if Luffy does anything to get in
his way, he will cut him down.
Yeah, he will cut him down himself. And Luffy accepted that. And this is kind of a test of that. Even though I don't think Luffy was thinking about that at all.
No.
It's just who Luffy is. But it's, kind of right there. And why Zoro cares so much about making sure that Luffy's dreams are fulfilled by being this super amazing first mate.
So he does get cut down, but he doesn't get killed. Mihawk opens his chest, essentially. He slashes him right there, but he's still impressed. And he says, let's meet again. Let's meet again, and when we meet again, you will be stronger, you will be better. We'll see who's the superior swordsman. So and then Don Krieg is like, oh, now you're gonna fight me, and Mihawk's like, meh, bored now.
Yeah.
And leaves. Because he's Mihawk. He can do whatever the frick he wants.
Which is also kind of just one of those things about many One Piece characters, bored now.
Yeah, exactly. Bored now, gonna go sleep. Or leave, or whatever. So then Mihawk leaves, and Don Krieg's like, what? Because he's not up to really being in the Grand Line. He thought he was. He wanted to find the One Piece, just like everybody does, and become king of the pirates. And Luffy's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
That's gonna be me. Krieg's like, insolence!
Yeah, insolence!
Which reminds me of the blooper, which actually made it into the show, when Kevin Sorbo as like anti-Hercules. The line was
I don't know what the line actually was.
No, not what the line... what was he saying? Oh, yes. But his direction, not the line, was supposed to be that he was saying things disappointed.
Yeah, he's disappointed.
Kevin Sorbo misread that as, this kind of evil guy. And he's like, disappointed!
And everyone's like, we're to leave it in.
But yeah, that reminded me of when Krieg was like, insolence! And I just can only think of Kevin Sorbo saying, disappointed!
Like, he throws his head back and everything, disappointed! Yeah, it's so good.
I don't remember the episode at all, but, like, Kevin Sorbo's in, like, all black. And
I think if you just go to YouTube and search, maybe just Hercules disappointed or Kevin Sorbo disappointed, you will find it.
It's so good.
It's good. It's worth it. Go. Okay, so, at the end of the fight, Zoro is cut, but he's conscious and alive because, he's probably not actually human. We still don't know. But anyway, so he lives... Luffy was trying to fight Don Creek, so he's off in another thing. And Zoro lifts up his sword. He's lying on his back, and he lifts up his sword. And he's like, Luffy, were you worried? I'm sorry if I worried you, but I will never lose again, but I will train harder and better to be stronger and faster and all that stuff. Wait, what does he say? It's just great. All I have in my notes is Zoro is awesome. That's all.
Oh, man. Wait a minute. I just saw something. Yeah. In the middle of this fight, and this is one of the things I'm going to come back to. So,
alrighty. So it's
let me finish off your point.
Yeah.
He gives his name. He says, I will never lose again. From now to the day I beat him to become the greatest swordsman, I will never lose again. Mm-hmm. Got a problem with that, King of the Pirates?
Yes, he calls him
And
King
Luffy just kind of
He's
goes,
just doing his little smile.
ha ha ha,
Nope.
not at all.
Not at all.
And Mihawk's like, they make a good team.
He's just like,
So yeah, Mihawk's kind of really rooting for them now. Mm-hmm. Of course, he doesn't care about Krieg at all, of course.
Yeah, he's just like, meh, bored now, bye.
Okay, so the other point, and something that we haven't really seen too much so far in One Piece, but starts being the way it goes and really happens next arc, which is why I say stick to One Piece until the end of Nami's arc. Because one of the things he does, Oda-sensei does, is he has some of the backstory and emotion in the middle of fights. So we just have this one tiny little panel where we can see why Zoro is so insistent on basically throwing his life away to Mihawk. It's just this memory of Kuina saying she wants to be the greatest swordsman. And that's what drives them. And so what Oda-sensei does is, when we get to a fight scene, and a lot of other animes don't do this, like, who were we talking about? It wasn't Naruto.
Was it Ranma 1/2?
It was Ranma 1/2, where a lot of, like, the drama happens before the fight. And same with Naruto, same with a lot of anime. All the drama happens before the fight, and then you have the big epic fight, which is the culmination of all that. Oda-sensei throws the drama
stick it in there
in the middle of the fight, so you're having this big epic fight while you're crying. You're like, yeah! It's so much emotion. It's so good.
It is awesome sauce. So anyway, Zoro's down for the count, right? And so Luffy just says, all right, look, take Usopp, take Johnny and Yosaku, and go. Follow Nami.
Yeah, go get Nami back because she's our navigator.
Right, because she stole the ship, right?
That's true.
So she pushes Johnny and Osaku off the ship. Zoro and Usopp are still on the on the restaurant, and steals the ship. And she says, give him a message, let him know that I hope to see them again another time. Because this is hard for her. Like we see in a later panel, she's sailing off, and she's like, I really had a good time, and I hope they let me sail with them again. And she is crying.
Yeah.
And then she says, soon I will be free.
And we'll understand that next episode. We're not going to spoil any of that because you need to read it.
But it's very...
even if you haven't been actually reading it up to now that you've kind of heard us talk about the arcs,
you kind of know what's going on.
I really suggest reading Nami's arc.
Read it or watch it. It's on...
Or watch it.
It's on Hulu. One Piece is on Hulu. It's on Crunchyroll. Find it. Watch it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And recommendation, I would watch it with the subs. That's just me. The voice acting is a credit. It's really great. Actually, a woman plays Luffy. And you can kind of hear it. He's an adolescent. He's 17 years old. You can still get away with having a female do a voice. Later, we get, as he gets older and older, the voice changes. The voice actress does a very good job of making him feel older.
And, the official, what's now available dubs. Mm-hmm. Do not look at 4Kids. If you see 4Kids, run.
Run away. The voice alone that they give Sanji.
Oh, gosh.
It's really bad.
And, just to any of our viewers, future viewers, or current viewers, if you want to read the manga, it's the chapters 42 through 68, and it's manga chapters. No, that's Baratie, I'm sorry. The next one we're doing is 69 to 95. Or, if you're watching the episodes, it's episode 31 to 44.
Yes.
And this will probably be the only arc in One Piece that I'm insistent that everybody who's been hearing us talk watch. Like, because I can understand some people are not into anime. That's fair. But this arc, if there's any arc, it would be the Nami's arc, which I just gave the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
And that's kind of why we wanted to start this channel as well.
Right.
So yeah, so Nami left to start beginning her arc. Luffy sends Zoro, Usopp, and
Johnny and Usako,
the pirate hunters, off to get her while he finishes up.
And even Usopp says, as they're leaving, make sure you bring that cook with you.
Yes.
When he comes. Because even Usopp is like, Luffy's made his decision. Luffy has said that she's going to be our navigator. Fine, she's going to be our navigator. She's a little thief who stole our boat, but
yeah.
All right. And then it's like, oh, he wants Sanji as the cook? Well, he's going to have Sanji as the cook. Don't forget to bring him. You know? That kind of stuff.
So jumping to the end really quick, because we know Sanji's going to be made a cook.
Yeah.
That's why we call it the Sanji arc.
We do.
Spoilers. But one thing that I think is the only time it's happened, Luffy was willing to accept Sanji not joining.
He was. Except for the part where he was grabbing his collar.
That's true. His hand was grabbing the collar.
And Sanji's
but he was
like,
saying, the words were saying that Luffy
like,
was,
all right,
at the very end, respected Sanji enough to let him not be on the crew if Sanji didn't want to.
If Sanji really didn't.
Which is the only time that happens. Because you saw Luffy with Nami, it's like, oh no, you're my navigator.
Yeah. And even with Zoro, he was like,
Zoro.
No. But Zoro was kind of like, well, I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah. And, I mean, Luffy did still ask Zoro, but...
Yeah. But it becomes something of a theme, you know? Like, no, you're gonna be my... Because, like, when we get the medic, the doctor for the ship, he's literally like, well, I really don't think... And Luffy literally says, shut up, let's go!
Yeah. It's just I think part of that is... Especially in the beginning, Luffy has his ideas. He knows what he wants. Mm-hmm. But he's not 100%... You don't see this, but I don't think he's 100% confident that he knows what he wants is right. Like, he's pretty sure, but he's not 100% yet. But after Zoro, after Nami, after Usopp and Sanji, at that point, he's like, when I make a decision somebody's going to be on my crew... They do really need to be on my crew.
They need to be on my crew.
And, you know, he just gets that explained. So, yeah, moving forward, he doesn't even ask anymore.
No, not really.
And it's always the right decision.
Like with the musician, it's just sort of assumed. I don't even think he even ever asked the musician.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He's just like, all right, we're going now. And the musician's like, okay, well, I'm good at...
Oh.
He's like, get on the boat.
But yes, so that was jumping forward, and that was something... Because we've seen so much of One Piece, when I go back and read him being willing to accept Sanji not doing, even though the hand was grabbing, it just threw me for a loop. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
but I think it's the learning that he does know best.
Yeah. And I think part of that is because he understands that Sanji wants to stay because he wants to be head chef of the restaurant.
Well, he wants to stay to protect Zeph's dream.
Right, but when we're on the ship and, you know, Sanji is saying, oh, he's not gonna, you know, lay down and let them take the ship, blah, 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 blah. Luffy does get upset, and he's like, Zeph didn't save your life so that you can just throw it away.
Yeah.
And we get that brief glimpse of Shanks without his arm.
Oh, do we?
We do.
Oh.
We get a little panel of, you know, Luffy's yelling, he did not save your life.
That's true, we didn't.
Panel of Shanks without his arm for you to throw it away. And so it's just kind of like, he has this kind of almost kindred spirit, you know?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, now I have to be careful to not twist this.
Oh.
as I have to connect it.
One other thing. So, we haven't really talked much about Krieg, because he's, I think, kind of a forgettable villain in the whole arc.
He is a little forgettable.
I think the main villain of this arc is Mihawk, because Zoro's fight with Mihawk does all the relationship building between Luffy and Zoro, but also shows Sanji that Luffy's not going to get in the way of your dream, even if you're willing to die for it, and that this is a crew of people who will put their life on the line for their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And when Sanji's basically given permission to follow his dream of being a sea cook and finding all blue, it's this kind of thing. And so all the plot relevant things comes with Mihawk, but you cannot make a full arc fight against Mihawk, because he's supposed to be so much more powerful than the crew, that if they made that the legit person you're supposed to get past, Luffy and the gang would just end here and this would be the last arc. So yeah, I think Krieg is there just so that we do have some more of that action. And, we get some interesting stuff with Krieg, but not too much. But one thing that I started noticing, and now Oda-sensei has worked on a lot of other projects with other very famous manga artists. Like, he worked on Rurouni Kenshin, and I feel like he worked with the creator of Dragon Ball as well. That could be wrong. I didn't get a chance to look it up. But one of the primary things that happens in manga is a retelling or a readaptation of the Journey to the West. Which, if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z, Goku, Son Goku, or in Chinese it's like Sun Wukong or whatnot, but is the Monkey King who goes and does all this nonsense. If you go to the YouTube channel Overly Sarcastic Productions, Red, she does a full telling of the Journey to the West, and it's a really good retelling if you don't want to actually read all of that, because that's a big, huge thing as well. But I bring this up because Luffy's fight with Krieg kind of has the feel of the Monkey King fighting the Jade Emperor. And Krieg mentions this a couple times, how Monkey D. Luffy is like a monkey.
He actually says ook ook at one point.
Yes.
Just to be annoying.
Luffy, to be annoying, says ook ook. The way he's drawn looks a lot like how a lot of people draw Son Goku as the monkey. And it was just this little tiny nod to Journey of West. Like, nothing else comes from it. But just this little tiny nod that, yeah, Oda-sensei knows what he's doing. If you're paying attention, if you actually know, not just Japanese, because that goes all the way back to China and India. If you actually know those stories, it's just a little extra flavor that doesn't impede the story at all. And I thought that was really cool. Concentrating so hard.
I just got it because it's a double crochet. I'm not a crocheter. I'm a knitter, but I'm trying to expand my horizons.
Yeah. So we've gone through all of my notes. We're at 57 minutes. So we should probably start wrapping up. The next arc, really, like I said, even if you're not into anime and...
Or manga or whatever.
And really, this channel is not going to have many anime or manga. It's pretty much just going to have One Piece.
But it's just...
But if there's one that I can convince you to actually give a chance for, it's this Nami's arc.
It's Nami's arc. It is powerful. Now, this is the arc.
Yeah.
This is the arc where it doesn't even matter. I've watched it 3 times.
Oh, man.
And... drenched. It's
yeah.
Cry.
But in a very positive way.
And then super cry. And then...
yeah.
It's just... Oh, gosh.
Yeah, make sure you have tissues.
Yes, or paper towels, in my case. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cry scenes in it.
Yeah. And that's, again, the arc that really is what One Piece as a whole is. It has the comedy, it has the action, it has the drama, so much drama.
And it has, it reveals a little bit more of the kind of captain
Luffy
that Luffy is.
Yeah.
And...
Anyways, so we'll talk about that next time we talk about One Piece. That's going to be a while, maybe 4 or 5 episodes. Next time, we are finishing off the Ratch trilogy with Ancillary Mercy. Now, you haven't read this yet, so you can't give away any spoilers.
I hope you don't give away any spoilers.
They were dreaming the whole... no, that's a different movie.
Wah, wah, wah.
But yes, no, this has another character, which I really like, introduced. And I think based on things previously said, you'll really like this character as well. And it finishes off the trilogy. It's a very good finish, and it sets off the world to be, well, the universe, or the galaxy of this universe, to really be able to expand. And as we mentioned, Ann Leckie has already come out with a kind of fourth book set in the universe that doesn't take place with what's going on in here. But it looks like she's really opening up the universe to start having a lot more of a big universe, which is really cool. And a lot of it does come down to actions that are taken in this. So I'm really excited about this book. And I think you'll like it as well for what it is. After that, we're going to do the Hitchhiker's trilogy and then the other myth. But replacing the time slots for Ancillary or the Rat trilogy, we're going to do the Tanya Huff.
Oh yeah.
Hotel Transylvania. No. I can't see it. I don't have my notes open. The Tanya Huff trilogy. Let me.
It's got kitties.
Apparently. What does this say? The Keeper's Chronicles.
Yeah, that one.
So, these are some old books recommended by my mother. She actually sent them to us for Christmas. So we will do this trilogy on the show at some point. But again, that's going to fill the slot of what the Ancillary series is leaving. We're not going to do the fourth Ancillary book yet. That'll be a one-shot at a later point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is our show. Let us know in Reddit, r/SpinAYarnLive, or on Twitter, how far you managed to get through your project. You finished your ball.
I finished my ball.
And you're halfway through a second row.
Well, I finished my chain, and I've joined it, and so now I'm starting on my row. It is a double crochet. Yes? Maybe?
Okay.
Anyway, I've gotten pretty far, yeah.
I've gotten good 2 rows done. I did quite a lot today, which is surprising. Mm-hmm. You can see my threads are everywhere. I mentioned last time that I need some
nerdy
needle minders.
Yeah.
Because Caribbean Island on Reddit was telling me how they used needle minders, and they had all sorts of nerdy needle minders, and it was amazing. I don't even know where to get nerdy needle minders, but I need them. I need them all.
I'm sure you can Google, and you can find them somewhere.
Of course, if we go to Disney, we can get their little pins and then just convert the pins into a needle minder.
That's true.
Though I don't know how well that would work if it's not magnetic. But, anyways, I wonder if needle minders are... I don't know what the backing of needle minders look like. I don't know whether it's like a pin or if it's like a magnet.
I don't know. I thought it was like... I don't think it's a magnet. I thought it was kind of like a brooch.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I know some needle minders, it looks like you can just stick the pin on it and it holds the needle, hence the term needle minder. So it would be magnetic. So I don't know exactly how that works. My computer turned off. Oh, and now it needs to see me. Okay. So let's see. Is there anything in the Reddits? Nope. Okay, so until next time, where we talk about Ancillary Mercy.
Ancillary Mercy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for putting up with our One Piece chatting.
Watch the Nami arc or read it. It's so good.
It is good.
It's so really good. It's really good. All right, we've got laundry to finish.
Oh. All right. See you next week. Thank you for joining.